This is one in a series of orchid care videos sponsored and presented by Repotting.com Orchid Supplies.
Hi, we're here today to talk about repotting a Cattleya orchid. Here we have a Cattleya orchid that we recently acquired from an orchid greenhouse here in the northeastern United States. And one of the things that we like to do is when we acquire a new plant, once it has finished its bloom, we like to repot it. We do this really for two reasons. One is because when you repot an orchid, it is the only time that you really get a chance to look at the root system and understand the nature of the growth of the plant and the health of the plant. The other thing is we want to put it in fresh media. We don't know how long this plant has been in this pot. I'm going to guess because it's starting to grow outside of the pot that it's been in this mix for quite a while, and it's time before the new growth really gets established to repot this plant. So what I'm going to do here is take the label out. You always have to keep the label. You don't want to misplace them when you're repotting. I'm just going to set it aside here. And I'm going to gently take this orchid and I'm going to pull it out of the pot. And I've got a bucket down here to sort of catch the old potting mix. But basically you can see that this orchid's got a pretty good root system here. And I'm going to just sort of gently tease the old media away from the roots so that we can kind of get a better look as to, I don't know, what's going on here. So to do that, I want to explain a little bit about how this orchid has been growing in its young life. As I said, it's a new acquisition. So this particular plant isn't very old. And this may have been one of its earlier blooms. And we can see here that this is what's called a sympodial orchid, which means that there are pseudobulbs, which are these big, kind of tall, plumpy things here, that grow from a central rhizome. And the rhizome is growing horizontally here. So what we can see is in each year's worth of growth, the plant has gone from growing this one, 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 all the way, and it's heading basically in this direction. And we can see that as we get towards the back end of the plant here, where there's some of the back bulbs, some of the roots look a little bit old, and as we get towards this newest growth here, the roots are looking quite good. So we can tell that this plant wants to grow in this direction. And what's going to happen is that the next pseudobulb for next spring's bloom is going to come out of the base of here and head in this direction. We can also see right here we're fortunate enough to already have a little baby pseudobulb starting, and he's coming from the rhizome right here. And as a Cattleya orchid or any other sympodial orchid gets bigger and older, we're going to find it's going to start to grow in multiple directions. In a very young plant, it'll be heading in any one direction. So when we repot this plant, one of the things we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this section here, which is the older section, we're going to put it smack up against the edge of the pot so that this orchid, as it heads in this direction, is going to be able to have a little room to grow. Okay. So now that I've teased all of this media away, we can get a good look at the root system. And I must say that the root system of this plant's looking pretty good. Every now and again, some of the pieces stick really stubbornly onto the roots. And at the risk of permanent damage to delicate roots, I'd almost rather just leave anything that gets too stuck on there. Now we got to decide what size pot to put it in. Okay, well when I go to repot an orchid, what we want to do is we want to have a few different size pots available because we don't really have a good idea until we've removed the old media how much room this plant is going to need. Because it's an orchid, we're going to want it to be snug in its new home. Orchids don't like to be moved up in pot size if they don't absolutely need to be. They like to feel confined. So what I brought today is I brought a few slotted clear pots here. I brought a 4-inch, a 5-inch, and a 6-inch. And so I'm going to take a look at this 4-inch pot here, and I'm going to kind of size it up And I don't know. I think it looks like just a titch too small. So I think I'm going to go up a pot size here to a 5, and I'm pretty happy with that because I'm going to be able to push the orchid here to one side, still have some room for growth over here, and yet still have it fairly snug in the pot. So I'm choosing the 5. I'm going to set aside my 6-inch pot because I'm not going to need it right now. As for orchid mix, what I brought out today is I brought out some Cattleya Classic Orchid Mix by Repotting.com. This is a mix of medium coconut husk chips, medium charcoal, and number 3 perlite or sponge rock. What I'm using here is a colander that I got specifically to rinse out orchid mix. It's just an old plastic colander. What I'll do is I'll put the orchid mix in it, run lots of water through it, get it nice and wet. I don't want to be working with dry mix here. I want to be working with some nice wet mix. If I work with dry mix, what's going to happen is that my orchid is going to suffer a little bit because the dryness of the mix is going to pull some moisture away from my roots, and I really don't want that to happen. So, alright, so now what we're going to do here is we're going to put just a little bit of mix in the bottom in this particular case because this guy's got a pretty good little root system going on. And then I'm going to get this guy all the way over. I'm going to tuck in the roots as gently as I can. Push this guy flush against the one side because I can see there's no new growth happening there. And then I'm simply going to take this loose orchid mulch. I'm going to tease it in between the roots a little bit and push down with my fingers. Let me get around this side too. I'm going to let anybody be left out. Alright. Around to this side, the back side, just a little bit. We have a little bit of dampness around those roots. I'm going to kind of push it down here so my plant is snug, because one of my goals is that I'm going to want to be able to pick up this plant. Now, 9 out of the 10 plants I pick up, I'm really going to want them to be snug enough to kind of go like this. So, again, I'm going to put a little more mix here, tamp it down a little bit, make sure I'm getting it in between all of my roots. And there you have it. This guy's looking pretty good. Let me show you here. Okay. Now, because this is a sympodial orchid, again, the rhizome is running here horizontal to the base. So we're going to try to stabilize this plant while it's getting settled into its new mix here by putting a rhizome clip on this pot. Rhizome clips come in 2 types. There's a type for clay pots and there's a type for plastic pots. What we're going to use the type that is for plastic pots. And when I select a rhizome clip, I'm going to want a rhizome clip that is 1 inch shorter than the pot that I'm dealing with. So since I put this orchid into a 5-inch pot, I'm going to select a 4-inch rhizome clip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this plant here kind of sturdy here, and I'm going to see if I can find a nice strategic place to bring this rhizome clip across where I'm going to be real happy with how secure it makes my plant. And I'm not sure I like that spot, so I'm going to try another. And yeah, this is a wonderful spot. Okay, so this clip down in here, real nice and neat. And I want to show you here. You have the clip on the edge of the plastic pot. You have it cutting across here in between some pseudobulbs to get this orchid to set down in this pot. And so it's not going to be jiggly, it's not going to come out of the pot, and we're finished repotting this Cattleya orchid.
For more information on orchid care and to purchase orchid supplies, please visit us at www.repotting.com. Thank you.